These assets become containers when they're dragged down to the timeline. Most containers have the same properties under transformations. You'll see in a moment from now that there is a special container, which is the shape container. Since these containers have the same properties, this means that if I select this current one, which is the animated character, and I want to change characters, I could click and option drag onto the selected layer, and the artwork will be swapped in. The only thing that's different would be the anchor point, and I can adjust that by opening up the transformations and just moving up the y-axis for the anchor point. And it's the same animation. Just flip back to the other animation with this layer selected, option drag from your assets, and place it on top of a selected layer. And just like before, I have to adjust the anchor point. To swap the background, I could select the background, find a different asset up here, and option or alt drag to the selected layer. I'm going to have to scale this up. And to new background. If I rotated this background like this, and then I swap back, the new image is going to inherit both the rotation and also the scaling. So option drag and replace. I'll scale this back down to 100%. And so this allows you to prototype animations or use for position-only art as the real art is readied and prepped, or for you just to play with the look and style knowing that you could swap in the imagery a little later on. A shape layer is a little different type of container. Let's say create a circle, and I have nothing selected, so and I drag out this circle. It just exists there. Selecting the circle and opening up its properties, much different than any other of those containers that we just previewed. If I select the shape layer and try to import, let's say, another panda on top of this layer to swap it in, it doesn't happen because it's a different type of layer. It doesn't have a source. So we're going to explore what makes shape layers special and see all the extra properties that shape layers have and other things we could do with them. If you want to prototype animation with a circle, to create a source for this, it's pretty easy actually. If you select the shape layer, select the layer and go into Layer, Pre-Compose, and I'll just call this my circle comp. Now the shape is encapsulated within a circle layer, so now I can take another piece of art, such as the panda, and option or alt drag on top of it to replace it. This means if I want to prototype animation just using basic shapes, let's get rid of our other character from the scene. You can pre-compose a layer. And let me put the pivot right here in the center. Back to the Move tool. I'll just do a quick animation of position, which is shortcut P key. And let's say 2 seconds later, the ball is over here. And in between, just takes this big bounce. And I could play with the tangents of the motion path. This is the prototype of the animated layer. And since now that the shape layer has been changed into a pre-composition, which just means taking the circle and putting it into a composition, I can now option drag and replace this composition with a piece of artwork I'm using the panda.ai file. And now that artwork will follow the same path. The advantages of using shape layers is that they're not dependent upon external resources, so you don't have to wrangle up the footage of shapes because solids and shapes are all embedded within the After Effects file. You can use that file without having to care about dependencies.